All right, we continue on our conversation regarding church gatherings, and of course on the back of the President last night making statements about how churches are to gather under level 1 as we move into the season where many are celebrating with their different faiths. The Passover, the Festival of Freedom, celebrates the liberation of Jewish people from slavery in Egypt. It is one of the most important festivals in the Jewish calendar. Passover traditionally lasts for 7 days. This year it began on the 27th of March and it will finish in the evening on the 4th of April. Let's get some reaction about the President's announcement last night about the restrictions with regards to religious gatherings. We are now joined by Mary Kluk, President of the Jewish Board of Deputies. Mary, a warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us here on SABC News, ma'am.
Thank you.
Excitement and caution, no doubt, as plans are rather complex, I assume, this year with COVID-19 as well as the vaccine rollout which is currently taking place. Talk to us about some of those plans, that are in place, and especially in relation to what the President had to say yesterday. Are you ready? Are you prepared? I mean, talk to us about how ordinarily on the back of that the Jewish faith really celebrates this time of the year.
So thank you. We have, as the Jewish Board of Deputies, we have tremendous sympathy and understanding of the complexities that the President and the other governing bodies that are making the decisions around balancing both the demands of the economy and the religious community with the really overriding importance of maintaining the healthy community that we need to maintain and to push this third wave that we're all anticipating as far as we can. Yeah. And so that we can hopefully implement some of the vaccine program before the third wave. So I think our community is deeply cognizant of the challenges that are confronting those people who are required to make the decisions. We are, as a community, have been extremely mindful of the protocols around gathering both in synagogues and in homes, because as you asked, Passover is a big part of the Passover celebrations for the Jewish community take place in one's home, with family, surrounded by family and friends and so on. Yeah. And so I think we've been very, very careful to ensure that our community is as informed as possible around the science of how we can protect each other and ourselves.
Yeah, and what
at home and in the synagogue setting.
Yeah, Mary, what were some of the lessons that were sort of learned from last year? Of course, now it's been a year that we've been dealing with this pandemic. Last year, it was all new to us. None of us really knew what to do. None of us knew how to behave. We didn't know, whether we were coming or going, really, for the most part. I mean, and also maybe just going back to my last question, the last part of my the last question, how do these restrictions then sort of affect the Jewish community as they're celebrating Passovers? I mean, how will you be monitoring, you mentioned synagogues, how will you be monitoring synagogues just to make sure that there is that adherence to COVID-19 regulations?
Well, as you say, it's a year. It's hard to believe. A year ago, over Passover, everybody was in their own home and we were in lockdown. In fact, at the beginning of our Passover celebrations, the President announced the extension of lockdown. So the timing was literally that time of the year. And it was a tough time for our community because, as I said, the community gathers in the synagogue as a community and then congregates at home. And a big part of the celebration is sitting around the Passover table with one's family and friends and having a big part of the ceremony at the dinner table in discussions around the exodus from Egypt, etc. So it was a massive adjustment. And this year, it's been a little easier and we are in better situation than we were last year in that there has been some possibility to gather and worship in a congregational setting, but obviously with strict protocols. And going to your question, from the moment that places of worship were able to congregate again after all the lockdowns, our community has taken the responsibility extremely seriously. And the protocols are in place in terms of sanitizing, physical distance, chairs are kept at the appropriate distance apart. There are all sorts of complications with prayer books and gathering together around the Torah. All of those protocols have been carefully considered, and nobody stands closer than 2 meters from one another. And these are monitored constantly, and members of the congregation are given the responsibility in each congregation to ensure the safety of those people who participate in services. Many of the older members of the community have opted to stay at home for obvious reasons. Yeah. But as I said to you, I can't stress enough how much this Passover commemoration and celebration is around being at home. So most people spend a lot of time, including inviting big, large family gatherings. That has not been possible. Yeah. And wherever possible, where people have been able to gather with 2 households, we have shared and empowered our community with the tools to understand how to go about commemorating the Passover celebrations at home so that we all remain.
All right, Mary, thanks very much for giving us your time, and certainly all the best, and do enjoy this season as you observe your religion.
Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Mary Kluk speaking to us there. Kluk, she's the president of the Jewish Board of Deputies. They're talking to us about, on the back of what the president had to say last night about those gatherings, religious gatherings, church gatherings. We'll continue then on that conversation. Hopefully we've got the Arch on a better line this time around. Archbishop Dr. Modiri Patrick Shole from the South African Union Council of Independent Churches. I hope we have you on a better line there, Arch. Let's just continue then where we left off. Arch, what are your thoughts then on government's decision as we're in the Easter season? It is now upon us. We were talking about the 250 people indoors, 500 people outdoors, and the question I asked was how churches are going to manage this logistically, and really my concern was about how you will turn people away as people travel. They want to go to church. I mean, I can typically think of Moria, for example. I mean, how are churches going to realistically manage this, Arch?
Well, we wanted to have, beloved, we wanted to have a 50% attendance. But now the government, because of the statistics, and also as we are approaching the winter season, there is a flu that is coming. Now the government decided to give us a 250, and with an outside 500. But we will manage it. We will observe the protocol. Yeah. As from Friday. We will follow all the protocol that is required from us, and then the congregation will attend the Easter services and will maintain and adhere to the guidelines by wearing the mask and the social distance and the regular temperature checking. Well, we will follow all that as we will be catering. A church is a safe place. It's a holy place. It's a very important moment of this season for all Christian believers to celebrate the Easter festive season.
Yeah. Arch, I suppose then that you are in conversation or having some sort of word with, church leaders, religious leaders, especially around this time with regards to, helping to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and especially at the time where we are really concerned about the third wave. Talk to us about those conversations that you would then be having or are having with religious leaders then, in terms of them really making sure that we don't see, another spike in these numbers. And no doubt that, a lot of churches have lost members, have lost, church leaders and so forth already. And obviously we don't want to see that happening again. So what are those, take us through some of those conversations that you're perhaps having at this time.
Well, we had a meeting with the president, with all religious leaders. Yeah. And the government presented some statistics. Then we assured them that we have a structure is already in place, starting from last year when we started to lock down, we have appointed compliance officers. They will monitor as people will be coming to the churches. People will be sanitized, and they will register each and every member. And we will work together with the government, the Department of Health, and the provincial committee council regarding the monitoring of the catering. Well, the government have assured us that it's only going to be a temporary for the limitation of 250, depending on the behavior of the churches during the festive season. If they behave well without any casualties, they will revisit and review the number of 250 to allow us with more capacity. Hence, we wanted 50% because we have smaller numbers, we have a bigger capacity, and the mega numbers with more thousands of members. But what is concerning is now, it's about the safety of all members. We want all who have to come together to agree with the government. Other members will watch it on the live streams, while other members will be outside the church, others will be in the church. And that's how we'll try to celebrate the festive season. And then in 10 days' time, it might be a different story where government will have an assurance. Because everybody is panicking because a lot of people have passed on. I've lost 34 pastors throughout the country since last year, July until February. So it's not an easy thing to allow a lot of people to come to church while other people have been passing on.
Exactly. And I mean, just as we wrap up our conversation, Arch, I asked the same question to the Jewish Board of Deputies as they're also celebrating Passover at this time. The question I asked is, it's been a year now, so there's obviously some lessons that we've all kind of had to learn, that we've learned in the past year. And I wonder, what are those lessons? I mean, you're talking about the fact that you will be trying to implement the fact that people should, be joining church online and so forth. But let's talk about some of the major lessons that were learned last year. And as I've said, we obviously don't want to see you losing more members, losing more people from the church. And so to prevent that, what are those lessons that you've looked at and now said, this is what we learned from the past year and this is what we're going to do better, perhaps?
Tomorrow we'll have a press release together with Sanko.
Yeah.
We are collaborating partnership with South African Civic Movement. We wanted to go out when government have a rollout with the vaccine, so that we can have education awareness to the community, to all congregations. So we wanted to have a partnership with community everywhere. Yeah. Because COVID is already taking a lot of lives of a lot of people. It's not a story, it's a reality. Mm-hmm. I've lost another bishop on Sunday in Rustenburg. The memorial is tomorrow, so I can't be able to go there. So this COVID is an evil thing that put people into panic, into anxiety, into the depression. Yeah. Hence, we've got a lot of pastors passing on. But the education is the most important thing, to make awareness through radio, to make awareness through roadshow together with the civic movement in the communities, so that we can save more lives.
All right. Arch, all the best, and do enjoy this Easter period, as no doubt you will be celebrating. We appreciate your time here on SABC News, sir.
Thank you so much. May God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Same to you. All right. Archbishop Dr. Modiri Patrick Shole from the South African Union Council of Independent Churches also weighing in on government's decision, as we heard, of course, from the president last night about those new measures that have been put in place. So 250 people indoors, 500 outdoors. That's the regulations that have been put in place coming to religious gatherings. Let's update you on those numbers then. South Africa has recorded 756 new coronavirus infections in the past 24-hour cycle.